happened next during a life cycle of a star? Some B movies? An Oscar? A star on Hollywood of Fame? No, that's a different kind of a star. What I mean is, a star that can be found in space, like our sun. All stars are initially formed from a cloud of gas and hydrogen gas called a stellar nebula. Gravity, after millions of years, causes the dust and gas to spiral together. The particles move faster and eventually reach the temperature of millions of degrees to form a protostar. A star forms when it's hot, hydrogen and nuclei fuse to form helium. The star then enters a long period where the outward pressure of the heat generated by the nuclear fusion counteracts the force of gravity. The star now called a main sequence star. And it stays in this state for between 10 million and 10 billions of years. What happened next depends on the size of a star. Let's talk about a smaller star. First one, roughly the size of our sun. Up until now, the nuclear fusion has been occurring between hydrogen nuclei, but eventually the hydrogen begins to run out. Now, the outward force of fusion is less than the inward force of gravity. This causes the star to collapse inward and the temperature to increase. It becomes too hot that the helium nuclei can now begin to fuse together to form heavy elements, but only as far as an iron. To form elements heavier than iron requires an input of energy, which will be explained a little later. A star now expands, becomes what it is called a red giant. When our sun becomes a red giant, it will expand to such a size as to engulf the 3 inner planets. Next, fusion of helium in the red giant will eventually stop and it will create the planetary nebula. Suddenly, the force of gravity is greater than the outward pressure of the fusion, causing the star to collapse, forming a white dwarf. No more fusion is occurring inside the star, and so the white dwarf cools down eventually. After many billions of years of cooling, it stops releasing heat and it becomes a black dwarf, as cold as the empty space that surrounds it. So what about the bigger star? What happened to them? They follow a different pattern. This star to eventually run out of hydrogen, but quicker than the smaller star. Massive stars, as a result, have a much shorter lifespan, main sequence life, than smaller stars. These stars then expand to become super red giants, now full of all the elements up to iron. Eventually, fusion stops, resulting in the collapse of the super red giant.
The shockwave created triggers an explosion, a supernova producing a lot of energy in the form of heat and light, which can outshine all the other stars in the galaxy for several weeks.
The extremely high temperature and pressure that exists inside a supernova enables the fusion process to create all of the elements in the periodic table that's heavier than the iron. The supernova distributes this throughout the universe. So, that means we are all made out of stardust. One of two things that can happen next. Either a neutron star or a black hole is formed. A neutron star is made of densely packed neutrons formed when under immense pressure, electrons are forced to merge with protons. A black hole, if the mass of neutron star is sufficiently high to cause further gravitational force to collapse, a black hole has as such have a strong gravity that even light cannot escape it. We cannot yet observe a black hole directly, but we can detect it by the effect it has on nearby objects such as stars.